Alrighty, so just a quick disclaimer as always, this is just a video I'm making for myself because I tend to forget stuff that I learned a few weeks later, so I can always come back and use this as a reference. In this video, I'm going to show a technique, one trick that I've learned for doing kind of MoGraph, motion graphic stuff in Blender, 2D kind of graphic stuff. You know, I read a lot online that people say, yeah, you can't use Blender for MoGraph. It's totally crap. The tools are not there. It's useless. Cinema 4D is what you need to use. I took a look at Cinema 4D recently, and I just like, oh, am I going to learn another interface? You know, I started with Blender about a year ago. I really like Blender. And I kind of decided I was going to go all in and try to get as much out of it as I could. So now the idea that I'm going to spend a lot of time learning Cinema 4D, to me, it looks like Cinema 4D is a little bit inspired by Photoshop with layers and stuff, and I really don't like Photoshop. So yeah, it's just a little trick. One of the techniques that I'm messing around with, which I thought was pretty cool. Okay, so we're in a new scene here. Let's get rid of the default cube. Let's go into top-down view. We're going to do Shift-A, make a plane, go into edit mode, pressing Tab. Okay, let's resize this bad boy like this. That's okay. Exit edit mode with Tab. Going to go over here to the modifiers. We're going to add an array like this. We're going to hover over here and do backspace. And we're going to do, in the y-axis, we're going to do this. That's cool. And let's give it 6. Yep. Okay, we're going to keep this, so we're going to apply it, which means we're going to kind of render it, so we can no longer edit this. This is plop, this disappears, and this is now back in edit mode. This is now, yeah, all geometry. Let's zoom in a little bit. We're going to grab this, and we're going to make this a little bit bigger. And this is just to give us a visual kind of, it's going to give us a visual representation of what's, you know, what's what, what's up, what's down. Okay, exit. No, sorry. We need to select all these verts, delete, and delete. Okay. Now if we go into edge mode up here, press A on the keyboard to select all. Let's just get rid of this gizmo for a second. This is basically what we have. We have geometry, which is just lines. It's 6 lines. It has no thickness. It's just pure edges. And that's what we actually need for extruding a 2D shape. Okay, in 3D, if you want to extrude, it's, yeah, you don't need just edges. You need actual shapes. But we're going to do it in 2D. You'll see in a minute. Let's put this back on. Exit edit mode. Alrighty. Okay. Shift A curve, and we're going to do a path. Okay. There's our path. Let's go into edit mode. Let's do like this. It's a little bit easier to see, or this maybe. Whatever. Okay. We're going to move the points around. This one down here. This one up here. This one down there. Yeah, this one as well, a little bit up. And this. Yeah, this is what we have. It's cool. Okay. Exit. All right. What we need to do over here, our edges, our geometry it's still a mesh, and that's no good. We can't use a mesh for what I'm about to do, so we need to go to Object, convert to Curve from Mesh. Now you see here we have a curve icon, so this has now become a curve. Let's go back over to this path that we created, and we're going to we're going to go down here to its properties. We're going to go to Geometry. We're going to go to Bevel and Object. And we're going to click on here and select Plane. So we just selected this plane up here, and you can see it disappeared. Now, why is that? If I rotate the view, bingo, there it is. Okay. I mean, we could just rotate the view and work in this view, but I think for MoGraph stuff, for 2D graphics, you want to be in top view because then you have the grid to work with. So how can we fix this? Okay. we're selected on our NURBS. We're going to go into edit mode with tab. As you can see, the curve has got arrows pointing along it. If I rotate the view, you can see that the arrows are actually lying flat on in our 3D world. They're lying flat along the ground. So in this view, we don't see them, but when we go into top view, we see them. Okay. But what we're going to do is we're going to press A on the keyboard. So they're all selected, all these 4 points selected. Then we're going to press N. We're going to go over here. Okay. Going to mean tilt. We're now going to start to rotate these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Let's start to rotate them. Aha. And bingo. Well, we know, we can guess, it's going to be minus 90. Okay, there we go. We've got a bit of weirdness here because that's just the way it goes with curves and geometry. You sometimes have to just... you can't always have such extreme shapes because the geometry has to bend too much and it gets kind of messed up. We can also maybe help that by going over here to our properties and resolution and put it up to a much higher number, like 300 or something. Because we don't have any 3D geometry, this is okay. To work with such a high number, it's kind of okay. You get nice, very smooth edges. Okay. All right. Now imagine we want to start editing, changing this shape a little bit. Well, let me just first show you what it actually does. It's now, if we go back to here, to the geometry bevel, we can now extrude this from this end or from this end. And of course we can animate it. We could put a keyframe on here and animate this. So that's pretty cool. Let's go, by the way, to our world settings. Let's put it the black. Let us get rid of our light. So that's disappeared. Let's create a texture. No, let's get out of edit mode, make sure we're in the right place. Yeah, let's say create a texture, and let's do emission. So we're emitting light from our object. There's no the light's off anyway, so there's no reflection. It's just pure emitted light. So it's like pure 2D graphic, pure color actually. Turn this off for a second. We can go over to our Eevee setting here, put on a bit of bloom, make it a little bit more sexy, like this. It's a bit too much, a bit hard on the eyes. Okay, that's good. All right, now, what is cool is if we go back into edit mode. Okay, this is nice, but imagine that we think, well, it would be nice if it was a bit thinner here. What can we do? Well, we can do that. Look at this. If we go to this point here and over here, and we do radius. Radius is basically the width of it. Okay. Look at that. Well, we can see we're getting down to 0, so let's just go to whole hog. Let's put in 0. Okay. Look at that. That's getting quite nice. Okay. Now, let's also say that we're not quite happy with our lines. The thickness is not quite. It could be a bit nicer. We could go over to back. We're going to have to get it out of edit mode. Select our plane, which is our geometry, which is being extruded, and we can start messing with this. But what I actually like to do is to actually move it to undo. One thing which I should have done before, which I didn't do, is let's go back into edit mode. We're going to do on the plane. We're going to do Shift S, and then we're going to choose this option. Cursor to selected. Now the 3D cursor, this thing, has now jumped to the middle of that object. Okay, let's exit edit mode, go up to here to object, set origin, origin to 3D cursor. So the origin is now here, and it's going to jump to over there. Okay, I should have done this before because this is one thing I don't quite understand. Now it jumped, it moved, the whole curve moved. But okay, we could fix it. We could just move it, whatever. Okay. But the reason I wanted to actually fix that was because now, if I rotate it, it's easier to rotate. See, it's now rotating in the right place. It's rotating around the origin. So let's move it over here. And that is pretty cool. Look, we can now put that right there. And that's a little bit easier visual representation of what we have. So we could now go into edit mode and we can say, well, I like it, but this top line here could be a little bit thinner. So we select it, and then up here we want to have local. We want our gizmo our move gizmo to orientate itself to the curve, and we just do this. Look at that. That's pretty nice. And we can also select, if I can, select both, and just do this. And maybe something else, I don't know. Just, you can experiment. You can do this. I'm not a graphic designer, I've got no clue, but that's quite nice. That's quite nice. Okay, back over here. Let's exit edit mode. Let's get rid of this. I just got to stop saying It's a bad habit. Bad habit. See, we now have this, and that's pretty nice. Okay. Okay, I want to show you one other thing, which is kind of cool. By the way, of course, we can go into edit mode on our shape, and we can scale it. Scale it on which axis? I would say local. Yep. So we can scale it right there. Okay. Exit. Tab. Back here. One thing you can also do, but I think it's starting to get, let's just hide this for a second. Hide this. You can do some strange stuff by also, look, at the moment we're flat. We're completely flat on the ground, like this. Completely flat. Okay. I could start to tilt this one. See, and we start to get the same pinched effect as here. But that pinching effect is actually happening because we're rotating in 3D space. If I rotate, you'll see that, look, that's actually what we've just created. Over here it's a real pinch in 2D, flat 2D. Here, we've rotated actually in 3D space. I mean, that could be interesting. For instance, right, imagine you are over here. Let's turn off bloom. And you're going to go to let's put our material to a reflective something or other. Now you can see that because we're doing it in different ways there, maybe a different, I don't know, what's going on here? I don't know why this is. Normally you'd get a better reflection. I don't know what's going on. I know why. We're looking up at the sky. We're looking up at the damn sky. Because this is flat on the ground, we're looking straight up in the air. But anyway, you can see that if you have a material and you have a light in your scene, then, or like this for instance, let's change this to a, put this on. Change this maybe to the sun, you can see that it just has a different effect. So that's kind of cool. One other thing which is worth noting is, let's get rid of this sun. We're going to do now cursor to world origin. Yep. Let's create Shift A lattice. Okay. Going to move that up there and make it a bit bigger. Okay, and let's give it some more geometry to work with. So, trick here is to click on the top one, drag down, and then you can increase the geometry on all of them, like that. Okay, going to go back to our thing. We're going to go to modifiers here, lattice. We're going to select the lattice we just created. Going to go back to our lattice over here. Going to tab into edit mode. Now, what we can do is, for example, you know, this is not necessarily going to be really beautiful, but it's just to give an example of what you can do. Okay. You know, whatever. Let's hide the lattice and see what we did. Okay, that's kind of funky. Okay, so basically, the curve is going through the lattice, and the lattice is being warped. The space of the lattice is being warped, and that warp, because the curve with its extruded geometry is going through it, it's also taking the warp on. And if we go over here, we're in edit mode. Let's tap. Oh, it's so annoying. Blender. That's that thing where you're over here and then you click, but you're in edit mode. It's just too weird. It's too annoying. Okay, let's just turn this off for a second. Let's turn this off for a second, and let's do this. You can see. One thing I don't like is I don't like, it would be cool if somehow these edges were not sharp, if they were like blurred. Okay, I think a way to do that would be to should we try it? I don't know if it's going to work, but let's try it. We're on here. If we go to constraints, we add follow path, and we nerves path. Okay. The problem may now be that we have to zero this all out. If we zero this out, and then we have to go back to this. Go on here and Y and follow curve. Yeah, doesn't work. I mean, it could work, but what I was trying to do, which quickly, but it's too ambitious for now, is you'd somehow have your shape, which is this, also following the curve, also warping with the space. So it also, and then you could, for instance, in your compositing program, you could use this shape to apply a blur just to this edge here. Or I know there must be other ways. There must be other ways to do this. For example, I don't know. There must be other ways to make these edges nicer. That's the only thing that I don't yet know how to do. That's kind of a next step for me to somehow make You know, maybe it would be nice if this was round somehow. I don't know. Put it in the comments if you've got some ideas about how to do that. I'm just a beginner. I'm just learning. Hope somebody finds this useful. It's 5:45 on a Friday evening. I'm going to jump on my bike, cycle home, go and have some dinner with my kids, my wife, have a beer. Yeah, and maybe this evening a bit more Blender. See you later.